Hey everybody, it's September 21st, 2021. Good evening. My name is JJ. You're watching Bull, Boom, Bear, Bust. Great Depression 2.0 is still creeping in on us, and a lot of people don't realize it, and that makes it more dangerous. When people think Great Depression, they think crashing markets, falling prices, even more job losses. Well, what's happening now is actually more dangerous. The thing about it is it's very deceptive because it doesn't happen as quickly as a market crash, and where all of a sudden you see tens of millions of people lose their job all at once. So in this particular Great Depression 2.0 as I like to call it, it's inflationary. And instead of crashing markets and falling prices, you actually see a drop or crash in your purchasing power because of rising prices and inflation. And not much is being done to reverse this course. We're still seeing a destruction or a crash of our purchasing power. Today we're going to talk about car prices rising again, more layoffs, tons of evictions that are still pending, and in some areas is going to happen here, and it's been happening. And in some areas, if these evictions weren't extended, these eviction moratoriums, you would see just a drastic change in the amount of homeless people overnight if these evictions were allowed to take place. So let's start right here. 60,000 Seattle area renters are behind on their rent as eviction moratoriums near expiration. Now, this story came out back on September 20th, just yesterday, but look what just popped up today in my news feed. And you can see the date right here. This just came out a few hours ago. Seattle moratorium extended for Seattle renters through January 2022. So my question is, why just stop there? Why not just permanently put that into place? I'm not saying that's a good thing or that that's going to fix this, but why do they keep pretending that it's going to expire and then just go ahead and extend it again? And this is Seattle. No, not every city is doing this. But when you have 60,000 households behind on rent, and that's the number of households, imagine if it's 2-3 people in the household, you could be talking about 120, 180,000 people that would be homeless if they were allowed to be evicted. Imagine a city with 180,000 people homeless, new homeless all at once. The shelters in a lot of these cities are already overflowing. What's going to happen with 100-something thousand plus people, newly evicted, new homeless people, right? And I often get called here and full of negative news. This is the news. This is what's happening in Seattle. I'm not making it up. There's multiple news outlets reporting it. I wish it wasn't true. I wish there wasn't 60,000 people behind on their rent. And it's not just 1 month behind. Most of these people are several months behind on their rent. From this article here, Seattle Times, even more troubling, of those 60,000 residents, most owe multiple months worth of payments to their landlord. Only about 13,000 were just 1 month behind. So these people are a long ways, most of these people are long ways from being caught up on their rent. All right, so next, let's transition a little bit here. We're still going to talk about the loss of your purchasing power when it comes to the used vehicle index and car prices. We see just in the first 2 weeks of September, the first 15 days, over a 3.5% increase in car prices just in the first 2 weeks of September. So this chip shortage, this supply crunch is not going away. Banks are still giving out loans, and there's still a lot of demand out there for automobiles, but not enough supply. So let's enlarge this chart and take a look at that. But we're up now about 25% year over year on the typical or average car price. And you take a look at the chart right here. Of course, we saw the 2008 recession with this dip right here, and the initial dip at the beginning of the shutdown recession, March 2020, March, April. And now what have we seen? Nothing but skyrocketing prices. And we told you after the initial leap back in January, February, March of this year that we would see continuous rising prices. And here we are. And we've been proven right once again. Why? Because nothing's being done to fix the problems. Manufacturing's not coming back. And in fact, there's more layoffs in the automobile industry because there's not enough supply to keep production going. Let's talk about that next. Ford to lay off 1,300 workers at their Lima, Ohio plant. Now they're saying it's temporary. How temporary is temporary? Well, it might be about as temporary as transitionary, or what's the word that they use? Sorry, transitory inflation. It might be about as temporary as transitory inflation. Remember, the Fed told us last year, oh, it's transitory, it's not permanent inflation. Well, how long is transitory? Transitory just means not here forever. Well, that's nice. Do we have to wait 20 years, 30 years for prices to come back down? And how long until these workers get called back? Approximately 1,300 workers at the Lima, Ohio Ford engine plant sidelined due to nationwide interruptions in the company's assembly process. You heard that right. So even the cars that we manufacture here, a lot of the parts, and I would venture to say most of the parts, are still manufactured overseas. Let's talk about what's happening in Battle Creek, Michigan. Kellogg, yeah, the cereal company, laying off 212 people. And something tells me, this article didn't disclose this, but something tells me that they're going to be relocating or putting these jobs out to some other country, in my opinion. My guess on that. Because why? Because the cost of living is too high here. So people are demanding higher wages. And instead of paying higher wages, companies are just going to send the jobs over to other countries where they can pay less. So this is how you see the double-edged sword of rising prices and inflation. One, it puts people in a cash crunch because people are not making enough to keep up with the rising cost of living. But two, you're going to see more job losses because all the outsourcing from companies like Kellogg and others. All right, let's transition a little bit here. Rising prices. FedEx, they're going to be hiking their shipping fees starting on January 3rd. Is there anything that's falling in price? Is there anything? Well, if there is, it's not much. But people that are charging for whatever service or whatever product they're selling, they're going to charge more because their cost of living is going up. So when your local business, whatever it is, has to pay more for everything, higher energy costs, higher rents, insurance is going up for many people, they're going to pass along the higher bills or the higher cost of living to you, the customer, in most cases. Look what FedEx is doing. Also, companies that are pressured into paying more because their employees need more to keep up with the rising cost of living, they're also going to have to raise their prices to pay for their employees and their staff. And there's going to be a lot of different surcharges. For example, FedEx, we have a fuel surcharge is going to be increased. A no shipment tendered surcharge is going to be added. An international out of delivery area surcharge is going to be added. A delivery and return surcharge will be added. Tons of surcharges, tons of increases. And guess what's going to happen? Other delivery companies and carriers are going to also increase their prices because they know there's not too many options and that you'll have to pay it. Otherwise, you just don't ship your packages. So continue to prepare, folks. Things are not turning around anytime soon as far as I can see. Any slowdown in price increases has been just that, a slowdown, but prices are still increasing. Price increases are accelerating in many areas. It's going to continue for as long as I could see. Please let me know down in the comments what you think about this. But a lot of people are going to be eaten alive with these rising prices, and so many people are pending eviction. They just have to continue to be rescued. Look at Seattle with another extension. All right, Bulls and Bears, that's going to be all for this one. We hope to see you down in comments. Check you later. Big love. Bye.